Hi YouTube, ACDodd here again, and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. And today I've got 4 cars for you, one of which is a V8. So let's crack on. Okay, so here we are down in Shard, and we've got a nice little Mark III Mini. So let's have a quick look. Bit of a road racer one, this one. Under the bonnet, we've got a 1275. Okay, so under the bonnet, we've got a 1275 engine. It's not been bored, but it's got a modified cylinder head. It's got a swift tune cam. It's got 1.3 roller tip rockers on. The owner's already put my usual bits and pieces on. So we're featuring a Power Spark Viper coil, 0.8 ohm. We've got a 65D distributor. It's running full, loose wire, something we need to look at. It's running a full unballasted feed, which is excellent. And we've got HI44 carb. So let's start tuning and get digging in and finding out what's wrong. Okay, so we're well into the tune on this one, although I should say there's not been much to do so far. As I say, we've got all the right ignition components on, all Power Spark stuff that I like. It's hasn't got NGK plugs in, but we're using non-resistor Champion N9YCs, which are absolutely fine. I've checked the gap, they were a little bit big, so I've just reduced them down to 35 thou. Distributor is a Power Spark 65D. I haven't curved it. This particular one seems to be giving the right curve, although ever so slightly slow off the mark. So, you know, at the moment, I'm just going to run the engine and see how it performs with that in there, because I don't want to change it if it's actually giving the advance that we need, purely because it's a brand new unit. Moving on to the carburettor. The carburettor's already been fitted with the appropriate yellow spring, which it's going to need for this spec. And it's got a BDO needle, which is, as usual, under fueling. So we'll change the needle and then we'll start the process of getting it dialed in. So, got this one dialed in. Already had a yellow needle in there, 2885 quick drop damper. Had to drop the oil from 2050 down to 530 because it was too rich when I throttled it. And we went up from a BDL needle to a BDR. And then I had to do quite some extensive modifications because it had a very, very tight lean spot between about 3 and 3,750 res, which I got there in the end, but took quite a few goes on the needle. So we'll let the guy owner go out in it and see what he thinks. Okay, so next car, something a bit different. We got a 1956 Series 1 Land Rover, 86 inch. Beautiful old beast, this one. And under the bonnet, it's even got a proper engine look, V8. All for the American viewers out there, that's the old Buick 215. And it's sporting twin HIF6s. So now some of you will probably notice it's not an engine I normally work on, but it's got twin SUs. So the owner's also been through, like the Mini, he's got his Power Spark leads on. He's got his Viper coil. So everything on this engine is working beautifully. My job is just to dial it in. So let's get stuck in and see what we find. Okay, so first thing I found on it is the advanced curve in the distributor. Although very fast in reacting, it's quite short. So we had about 11 degrees static and we was only getting 26 degrees full in. So I can't do anything with the curve today because obviously it's a Rover V8 engine and I don't have a distributor with me. But what I've done is I've swung this round to sort of 18 degrees static. So we're delivering 33 degrees at the crank. Whilst not optimum, it's certainly coming in fast enough, and it's more than enough today to get this engine to wake up. Turning our attention to the carburetors, quite interesting. This engine was running real well, other than the fact it was just lean everywhere, really. So as soon as you open the throttle, it went lean. As soon as you snap the throttle open, it went lean. So everything about the fueling on this was lean. And this is also another engine, unfortunately, that's been to a rolling road, and the owner politely informed me they fucked it up by just winding the screws and filling it full of fuel. So that's the reason why he's got me to have a look at this today. So it's got a pair of BAK needles in it, so I pulled them out, put some BBCs in, and now I need to start needling and to see if we can get this beast to wake up. Okay, so I've got the old V8 running very nicely indeed. Pair of BBC needles along with the yellow springs. As I say, we already adjusted the timing, and yeah, we got these HIFs were very, very, very lean at part throttle, but now we've got that running almost around lambda 1, pretty much all the way across the rev range. So I just want to interject here, again, we've got another sad story of, in this case, a big V8 engine that's been put on a dyno and somebody wound the screws out and tried to bore wash and destroy an engine for a customer. You know, I'm speaking now directly, really, to anybody who's watching who believes they can tune the car or tune SU carburetors by turning the screws out. Trust me, you can't, and you're ruining the engines. What you actually need to do is to get some training on board. So I can help you with that. So if anybody out there thinks they can tune cars, carburetors, SU carbs, by turning the mixture screws to get the fueling right across the rev range, you are wholly mistaken. So please get in contact and I can help you with some training. Now let's get back on with the episode. Okay, here we are in Porton, and we've got a beautiful Morris Minor 1000. Let's have a quick look inside, as we always do. Look at that. Original. Spartan basic. Beautiful. So under the bonnet, not so original. As we can see, got a big radiator. Got a modern expansion tank. And we've got 1100cc engine, and it's running a single HIF 44 carburetor. And as we can hear, I don't know if you can pick it up on the phone, but it's not running particularly smoothly. And the first thing I've noticed is it's running rich, and I can't lean it out. So we've got a stuck jet in the carb. So if we can't free that off, we won't be doing any more tuning. So first thing is, let's look in there. Okay, so first problem we found, just took that off and we got a very, very corroded needle. The screw was seized, the needle is seized in the carburetor, so I think this one's going to fight me this morning. So let's keep digging and see if we can get to the bottom of what's going on. Okay, so looking into the bottom of there, we can see the jet is stuck down. So I've wound the mixer screw out to lean it off, and the jet is still stuck in the full rich position. So I'm going to try and free that off now, and if that doesn't come up, I can't do the tune without replacing the carb. Okay, so with the carb off, we can quickly see the issue. I've freed off the jet. It was basically all gummed up. We can see in the bottom that it is filled with detritus and free floating muck. Looking at parts that come out of it, we're absolutely coated in gunge. So the needle is also stuck in the piston, so it's going to need a blowtorch to extract it. So unfortunately this carb is not able to be tuned today, so we'll put a new one on and get back on with dialing it in. So new carburetor fitted, so it's one of my rebuilt HIF 44s. The engine starts and runs, so and obviously all the screws work because it's new, and the engine runs a lot sweeter already. So now we go back to the ignition, sort our ignition out, and then carry on with the tune. Okay, so the plugs that come out of this engine, this is what they look like. Black is the colour of death, as we say, and that is a function of the original carburetor where the jet was stuck down. So again, whoever put this together hadn't got a bloody clue what they were doing. So what we're going to do now is put a new set of 5 spark plugs in it, and gap them correctly, make sure the coil's right, and then get this engine running clean. Okay, so we've got the engine all running, new carburetor on, everything's timed in properly. The distributor hasn't really got the best advance curve in it, but for today, because the customer's already bought the carburetor, we don't want to give him a double sting. The vacuums unit is working, but it's got a little bit of a leak on it, a very slow one, but the customer knows he's going to have to replace that unit later anyway. In terms of needling, the BDL was a touch rich, so I actually went for a BF wire, and it's spot on, so yeah. We'll send the owner out on it, see what he thinks. Right, this is John. We haven't seen John at the start of this one because we got straight in because we had a poor carburettor. But so now we've managed to fit everything to the car and tune it. John's now been out for a test drive, and what do you think?
Drives like a different car. Brilliant. So pleased. And I mean, it's a nice looking car, so it's also nice to have it running properly. And I never felt as if it was running properly. It wasn't by far. But now it's just brilliant. You've got to watch the speedo on it now. So yeah, it's terrific. Yeah,
wonderful. So no flat spots?
No, not at all.
Okay, more power?
More power, no flat spots. And
smoother?
It's smoother as well, and it just sounds so much better.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. As I say, it's a shame we had to change the carb on yours, but unfortunately it was all full of detritus, and and somebody, as we'd noticed, had been in there before and hadn't necessarily left everything the way it should have been.
It's been played with. Yeah, it's been played with before, obviously. Yeah, and I think and hopefully it's put everything right. So yes. I'm really pleased.
Wonderful. Would you recommend this to any other?
I would, definitely.
Wonderful.
Well worth. If you're thinking about it, it's worth doing, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, John, for letting me look at your lovely car.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks, AC.
Okay, on to our next car. Oh, and it's another Morris Minor. In this case, a nice Traveller, Woody. There's also one next to it, but that's not the subject of today. It's this one. So, beautiful example, this one. Classic, original, but very nice driver's seat there. And under the bonnet, we've got a tuned 1098. So, second one with a HI44 carb. This one appears to all be in new condition. It's got Alden Dizzy, all new, Lucas coil, looking every bit the part. So let's get stuck into this one and see what needs to be done. Okay, so just starting to have a look, got the plugs out, I've checked dwell angle, and this is 50 degrees with it idling. So a 3 ohm coil is fine on this one, which is what we got. So just moving our attention over to the spark plugs. So they don't look too bad, just a touch on the rich side. So what we need to do is to just lean that mix off a little bit, and then see where the fueling is. But before we can do any of that, we need to check the timing. And the most important thing to understand here is those plugs are all pretty even. So I think the timing's probably not too bad, but we need to get in there and at least check it. Okay, so what we found out was the original distributor, which in this case was an Alden unit, was very, very slow on the advance uptake. So I don't know what the reason for that was, but it just seemed very, very slow. So anyway, I've fitted one of my own Power Spark units, which are much faster ignition advance curve on it, which the engine's responded to. You'll also notice on the side, because it's one of my distributors, we've also upgraded the 3 ohm coil. We've gone up to a 0.8 ohm coil. So I've taken the plugs out again and opened them up to 35 thou. So now we've got a full power modern ignition system on it to go with the HI44. So now I can turn my attention to getting the fueling right. Okay, so where are we now? Engine's all running. I'm just on the needling now. So very interesting, this one. It's very specific on the needle. So it goes very lean at 4500. So I'm having to put almost a step in the needle to maintain the fueling. So yeah, can be quite tricky. Other SU tuners that I've trained know my pain. So I must persevere and get this one done. Okay, so we got here. In the end, we needed a BDK needle, and that was the actual needle that came with the carb. So the owner had selected that needle because it ran the best, and actually when I checked it, it was almost spot on, apart from it was going lean at just after 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. But now, that sounds really good. So let's send the owner out in it, and hopefully he enjoys that. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that episode, especially the V8. That's the first one I've worked on the road tuning series, but I've worked on them before this series, so I do know my way around a V8 engine, especially the Rover with the twin SUs, or even more quadruple SUs. So if any of you out there have got Rover V8s, for example, that you think need a tweak, then by all means get in contact. I will need to have the distributor in advance, no pun intended of course, in advance of the tune, so I can sort the advance curve out if that's an issue, because I can't do that because I don't carry the dizzies, because I don't see enough cars. So if my work changes and I see enough cars, then I may stock the dizzies for the V8s, but you know, I've only got limited space. So anyway, and secondly, you'll notice there was much less people on this one wanted to tell you how good their experience was, and that's again purely because not everybody has to appear on the video and has to speak about their cars. So I don't force that on anyone. So if anyone out there is thinking, oh well, you know, I want to tune but I don't fancy going on the video, you don't have to go on the video. It's absolutely fine. But hopefully those people that were on the video there with their cars will leave a comment about their experience in the comments below. So as ever, please like, subscribe, ring that bell, all the rest of it, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.